Educators, are you struggling to understand how to write observations that are not just a tick box exercise or formality, but are meaningful and make sense? Today's video is for you. I will show you the real observation that I've done with a group of children when we explored famous artists and different artwork with a group of preschoolers. What I like to use is called group observations, that is helping me to save time and also observe real learning. So tune in to watch the rest of the video with example. A little bit of history about this project. I was very amazed by the work of Anne Cole, who talks about process art and how you can explore it respectfully with preschoolers. I was very much into art myself, just as an art appreciator. I'm not an artist, and I used to go to museums a lot as a child with my mom, with my brother, and later with my friends. I thought, since YLF talks about connection to community, also it views communication as exposure to different artwork, including artwork of first people, I thought that it would be a great idea to introduce different artistic styles to children. You may ask, why would I do that if children are only learning to scribble and do basic colors? Yes, that's true. Usually at the age of 4, 5, what you see in painting, not to mention a drawing, not to mention toddlers and babies who are only learning to hold the pen, right? But eventually they become more and more advanced, and they might start create their own collages. They might start create their own artwork and their own drawings that represent the human, like a person, like human, like an animal, like shapes. We do these projects not only to invite them to draw and draw like artists. That was the name of my inquiry project. But we do it in order to start this aesthetically pleasing appreciation of art and connection with community and connection with bigger world, so which is outcome too, right? So let's look at my observation here. We have Pollock. If you are not familiar, that is very interesting American artist who had a little bit of a problem with drinking, but that's not what I'm going to tell children, of course. And his style of painting is very known and renowned, and he is an artist that would be interesting in early childhood context, because he created his artwork by being very active. Yes, he would walk, he would splat, he would use his whole body, he would move. And I think this is really attractive in early childhood context, because that's what children like to do. They like to move and they like to use their whole body. I showed children pictures of Pollock. So here is an example, as you can see, of him painting. Yes, so you can see dripping paint. Yes, so you can see that it's on the floor. The most known painting of Jackson Pollock is this one. Yes, so Blue Poles, number 11. You also can show children other paintings, such as Untitled, that is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Convergence, really an interesting masterpiece, and some other similar artwork that you can find online, and it's called Alchemy, for example. So if we will choose, let's say, Convergence, we can talk with children about that there was an artist, his name was Jackson Pollock, and he created artwork that was quite large, and he used different colors and he used different mediums, including brushes and other tools. This little introduction could be also done through children's books. I usually borrow them in the library, or I find them in NGV, or National Gallery of Victoria. And that's an amazing place to shop for books on art and how to introduce art to young children. But even without books, you can find everything online and use tablet. Yes, so to show children or smartboard. Before we started this activity, I introduced children to the renowned artist Jackson Pollock by reading a story about his unique painting style. I borrowed this book and we were reading about it. We learned that Pollock used an interesting technique, dipping brushes in paint and flicking them, swinging the paints over his canvas, and even walking on it, adding sand, glass, and other textured materials. Excited about this like Pollock experience, I set up the table with wool on pegs, paints, and sturdy paper. Children and their names eagerly joined in. They picked up the pegs with wool, dipped them into paints, and let the colors touch the paper. Each child had a choice of colors. Some chose black and yellow, while others mixed all the colors on paper and selected 3 specific colors. Ella was particularly fond of splatter painting and made 3 pictures in a row. This experience was part of my ongoing project, as you know, painting like great artists. I already created paintings that were like Kandinsky, and now Pollock's splatter painting continued our investigation. So that's just an idea for your inquiry, how you can be inspired by Reggio Emilia approach, which values art so much. And they have a studio which is called Atelier. And this atelier has a special teacher who is atelierista. An atelierista is an art teacher who is introducing all these practices to children. I am not an artist, but because we don't have atelierista, usually the teacher is introducing all the skills as well. Throughout this activity, children embraced a new way of painting and welcomed the challenges it presented. They discovered the wool picks up colors, leaving snake-like traces on paper. The preschool children are developing their creative skills and expressing their unique personalities through their artwork. Their enthusiasm for painting grows with each day, and they're becoming more confident with every new artistic experience. Now I want you to think for 2 minutes and consider what kind of learning do you think was happening while children were completing this artwork. And I'm showing you the samples. So look. It also shows how I displayed the information about the project for the families and community and any colleagues. I also shared the sample convergence. Yep. And you can see that these are samples with names displayed. So now as a more mature teacher, I would display it on some background, either white or black. Yes, so they will look better, as if their artwork, a real artwork displays, or even frame them if I had time. But you can see here that it does show the choice of color, different techniques and approaches to painting. Yet, you can clearly see that children explored Pollock-like techniques. So it wasn't like that they were painting a flower or their mom or the garden. So there is a very important part of our teaching that is called intentional teaching, and that's exactly when you will be using it to introduce intentionally some practices and techniques that are amazing and important for future life of these children. It also supports fine motor skills, gross motor skills, because we are using our body, and choices, preferences. Plus, because visual language is communication as well, they are making marks, yes, and they create representations, yes, of different thoughts, ideas, and theories. If I want to analyze this learning, I would go to my favorite document, EYLF, and I look into outcome 5. Outcome 5 is talking about children effective communicators. We also can look at some sub-outcomes, yes, or components of learning. Children interact verbally, non-verbally with others for a range of purposes. Children interact with a range of text and gain meaning from texts. So that's definitely our sub-outcome 5.2, because I was reading a book about Pollock and we were then doing some art following up on reading this book. Third one is definitely our sub-outcome 5.3, children express ideas and make meaning using a range of media. In our case, wool, paints, and paper. Children begin to understand how symbols and pattern symbols work. We didn't have digital technology, so that's why I'm going to pick out sub-outcomes 5.3 and 5.4. Let's have a look. Children express ideas and make meaning using a range of texts or media, You can see here that there are some phrases that I might copy and paste into my analysis if they are applicable, and this can save you a lot of time, but you of course need to understand what you are adding. That's why reading EYLF is step number one for any young educator, not experienced educator, young at heart. It's very important to look at. While we were painting, children explored a range of materials and their properties. Paints are always interesting to explore. They explored a range of materials and their properties. They also used language to engage in play and create scripts and ideas. In our case, ideas. Some children talk while they are drawing, some children like to be quiet. Yet it is very important to let them do that, right? Use materials to create artwork such as drawing, painting, sculpture, drama, dance, movement, music, storytelling to express the ideas and make meaning. This phrase I will copy and adjust. Use paints to create artwork, to express the ideas and make meaning. Experiment with ways of making meaning using a range of media. In our case, we used wool, paint, we used pegs, and we used paper. Begin to use images and approximation of letters. Not the letters, but definitely convey meaning through images and, in our case, lines. Yeah? Squiggly lines. Enjoyed engaging in a variety of cultural texts. It's only one book that I've read, so not a variety. And that's it. Use simple tools to assemble join materials. Before we started, we had to cut our wool, put it through the pegs, and that means that they use simple tools and techniques to shape, assemble, and join materials they are using. This is just one outcome that I looked into, but I know that outcome 4 would also be relevant. This is your homework. Looking at this observation, try to find links in the outcome 4, learning. What are the things on the left? Yes, so the examples or evidence examples you can find in this observation analysis of learning. And here I am. This is what I decided to write. Throughout the activity, children embraced new way of painting and welcome challenges it presented. They discovered that wool picks up colors, leaving snake-like traces on paper. And they actually said, it's like a snake, it's a wiggly line. The preschool children are developing their creative skills, expressing their unique personalities. And that's where you can add, they're becoming more confident in their artistic experience, but they also are making meaning through paints, experimenting with tools and materials. And what's next? Inspired by this quite successful project or experience, we are going to look into other famous artists. For example, I was very amazed by Matisse painting with scissors. They were also in this book by Anne Cole that I mentioned. We can think of Warhol-style pop art or self-portraits, or experiment with Mondrian iconic blue, red, and yellow rectangular compositions, which we actually did. I have observation on that as well. So these experiences will further ignite child's creativity, appreciation for the diverse world of art. Do you have to write that complex? No. So sometimes having the samples and making notes about each child investigation will be enough. But of course, turning anything into anecdotal record or learning story will enhance your documentation and turn it into pedagogical documentation. As you know, planning cycle requires us to reflect on learning. As after we finished this project, I also reflected on what other things I could do. And now, after years and years completing this experience with children, I would love to add other artists in my lineup of artists we investigated. Most of our artists were Western known artists, Now, because I know so much about the importance of embedding Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspectives, I would add more First Nations artwork. And it would be from the local artists. For example, weaving. Yes, so I would show them baskets, and we would use baskets to weave, or at least the technique of weaving with lamandra or reeds. I would show some famous Aboriginal artwork and artists, for example, Namajira, and many other beautiful artworks that are created every day. So I would show them modern artists. I would show them artists from the background that children are coming from as well, or that are significant in the community. And if I'm teaching, let's say, Seaford, I would look into this community and see if there is any artwork, let's say wall, street art, or maybe some murals that we can look at together, go for a walk, and then come back and be inspired by techniques. Even behind me is the famous artwork, famous in my circles, by an amazing artist. And this is a very personal artwork that I received as a gift. So I can also bring it to class, show it to children, and celebrate artists and this style of this unique artist. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video and found the observational sample useful, download my free guide to observations and subscribe.